The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, based on where you're located in the region. And thanks so much for joining today's webcast hosted by Netstock. My name is Ali Ortiz, and I am the ISV Program Manager here at Sage. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. The presentation will be around 45 minutes, so we will have time for questions at the end. So please enter those in the Q&A panel on your screen, and we will make sure to go through those. The webcast will also be recorded, so I'll be distributing the recording in a PDF of the slides next week. With that said, I will go ahead and pass it over to Vaughn Proctor from Netstock to kick off the presentation.
Great, thanks Ali, and thanks everybody for joining us for this presentation. My name is Vaughn Proctor. I am Channel Account Manager for Netstock, and I'm going to be the person taking you through the presentation today. If there are any questions, like Ali said, please just put them into the chat and we can deal with them at the end of the presentation. I'll try and make it short and sweet, but also at the same time, make sure that you have a good understanding of the product and the value proposition to you as a Sage customer. All right, so the agenda that we're going to go through today, a little bit about Netstock and who we are. Why it's important or why you would need Sage Inventory Advisor in your business with your Sage product. I'm going to spend time in the actual product, giving you an overview of what the product does, just a short walkthrough to give you an idea of how the data that we would get out of the ERP would flow through Netstock and give you the results that you require. And then we will go into Q&A. There's a poll that we will share with you and we will answer any questions that you might have about Sage Inventory Advisor. If there are any additional questions or things like that, you can reach out to your Sage partner or to Sage directly. They can get hold of me and we can sort any of that out. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about Netstock and who we are. So Netstock is a business that supplies a predictive planning suite of applications focused on supply chain planning. And the idea is to give customers with an ERP real-time visibility and predictive intelligence with that data that's coming out of the Sage ERP system. And the idea behind that is to help customers make better supply chain planning decisions in this very disruptive supply chain environment that we all find ourselves. The suite of products is sold in modules, and that allows us to be able to build up from very small businesses with one location, just wanting to optimize their inventory, to really big businesses with distribution, perhaps there's distribution planning, even manufacturers. There's capabilities in manufacturing through the bill of material, even some capacity planning that we can do. And then also up to the really big businesses where you might have teams that are planning teams that are working and have more of a sales and operations functionality. We can cater for all of that, and we can just build up as the business builds up, or apply those modules based on what the requirements are in the business. So from very small businesses right up to big multinationals, this application can really help you with your planning. Okay, so why do you need Sage Inventory Advisor? Well, in this day and age, and as you all might know, since COVID, the supply chain disruptions have been immense, and they don't seem to be changing, and probably won't be changing anytime soon. And you'll find that most customers and yourselves have been dealing with these type of things to more or lesser extent, but they make planning and supply chain really, really difficult to do, especially if you don't have the right tools to be able to mitigate risks in the supply chain. So you might have come across some of these things in your supply chain and some of the challenges that you might have. What this does really for customers, and you'll probably resonate with this quite a bit, is that customers, and we've gone through research with our existing customers. We've got just over 2,000 customers worldwide. A lot of them are struggling with stockouts, obviously one of those major challenges, because less sales, losing customers, losing business, really not good for the business. But at the same time, also a lot of businesses, especially now, sitting with significant excess and money tied up in that excess. And with the interest rates rising, the cost of holding that inventory is becoming quite a major challenge as well. And then the time spent on ordering. And this is typically because most businesses are attempting to do these type of calculations in our good old friend, the spreadsheet, pulling information from the ERP, adding that to the spreadsheet, trying to create accurate forecasts, which is very difficult to do, especially if you're not taking things like trends and seasonality into consideration, and then trying to put all this together with changing lead times and unreliable supply and changing demand, and making a decision on what to buy, when to buy, and how much to buy to ensure that they don't run into trouble. So that really is the major pain point for most customers, is the time it takes to be able to create those orders. And that's something that we try and do really quickly. In fact, those orders are available to you on a daily basis. We do all the calculations and the data crunching in the background to be able to produce those. All right, so what are we going to do? Sage Inventory Advisor is powerful yet intuitive to help you with your supply chain planning. It's easy to navigate. You'll see in the application when I get into it. It's very user-friendly. It's purpose-built for planning, so it'll help you a lot more than a spreadsheet will, and it'll help you learn how to better plan rather than becoming a spreadsheet consultant or a spreadsheet friendly. Enhancing current ERP functionality, because we have integration with Sage ERPs, it's very quick and easy for us to pull that information and start giving you the analytics that you require. The Netstock Learning Academy, which is built into the application, and also learning that we take you through when we go through the onboarding process. Many years of supply chain planning experience that has gone into our Learning Academy, and that is also available to you to help upskill planners and buyers within the business to get better at what they're doing. We believe that it's an ongoing educational process, and we keep adding to that Learning Academy as we're going along. Okay, exceptional onboarding and customer support. As I said, we've got over 2,000 customers worldwide. We've been doing this since 2012, and our customer success teams work really hard to make sure that customers are as successful as they possibly can be. And then guaranteed data integrity. We are one of the only planning cloud systems with an ISO certification, and that's a continuous. We're actually busy with an ISO audit again, our second one now, to make sure that we stay certified and make sure that your data is safe in the cloud. All right, so that's a little bit about Sage Inventory Advisor and Netstock and what we do. But of course, the important thing always is to have a look at the software and see if this is something that would be of use to you in your business or might be able to help you. Of course, this is just a general overview, and you can reach out to us if you wanted a more personalized demo. We can try and understand a bit more about your business and where the pain points are, so that we can personalize that demo and make sure that we address those pain points. All right, so I'm just going to flip over to the application. You'll see over here when you log into Sage Inventory Advisor or Netstock, you're greeted with these dashboards. And this is sort of the control center where everything happens, right? We are always trying to drive down or optimize that inventory by driving down your stock holding and making sure that your availability is high. So what we'll do is the top 3 KPIs you'll see over here, everything to do with the stock holding. I can see my stock holding over there with a benchmark where we started, and then month by month, and you can do this in months or weeks or days, whatever it is, but we're on months at the moment. We can see month by month how that's tracking along. We started at $10.8 million. We're sitting at $8.7 million. It's been a 20% reduction in inventory, which is great, but we're targeting a model stock of 5.5 million, so still a bit of work to be done over there. We're not quite where we want to be. We can see that there's some excess, 2.8 million. There's also been a huge reduction in excess, but we still have $2.8 million worth of excess. That is money that's tied up we could be using somewhere else, and we're going to highlight where that excess is so that you can do something about that. But we also want to give you early warning on excess that's on its way. So we're going to analyze the purchase orders in your Sage ERP, and we'll be telling you whether those orders are surplus to requirements and are actually going to create more excess if they land. And then we can see if we can reduce the order, cancel the order, stagger the deliveries, whatever it is that we can do with our suppliers to ensure that we don't add another 600,000 to that 2.8 million when it lands. So early warning on future excess that's on its way, so that we can get better at optimizing and driving this down. And everything that we do in the application is always trying to drive inventory down and drive your service levels up at the same time. You'll see there's a top 5 of over here. You can go into a whole list over here, but we typically don't expect you to work through 2,000 items in a day or a week or even a year, or the 310 over there. So we always have the top 5 based on highest value or highest impact on the business, so that we can focus on the items that have the biggest impact, and you can be as effective as possible in fixing those items. Over there we can see that top item over there, $100,000 worth of excess inventory. If we could just reduce that, or sell that off, or whatever it is, whatever the action is that needs to be taken, return to supplier, we could free up that cash and use that cash elsewhere as well. At the bottom over here, we're looking at the availability rates. Over there, the fill rates, we can see we started there at just under 80%, increased to nearly 87%. There's a 9% increase, which is great. So there's been a 20% reduction and a 9% increase in availability in the last 5 months, which is awesome. But we are targeting 96%, so still a bit of work to be done there to get up to that 96. So why are we not at 96? Well, we're stocked out of 1,176 items. Again, we're not going to work on all of them at once, but the top 5 over there make up 318,000 of that 714,000 calculated lost sales for all those 1,000 items. So the biggest chunk of that is in just these top 5, and there's 150 in just that top item over there. So if we can do something about bringing that item in, we could mitigate the risk of those stockouts and those lost sales, that lost sales value. Okay, so again, focusing on the items that can have the biggest impact on the business, rather than filtering through thousands and thousands of items in a spreadsheet. And then also, again, looking into the future, are there purchase orders on these items, or perhaps they're just arriving a bit too late, potential stock out. So we have stock now, we have stock on order, but there's going to be a window period where these are going to stock out. There's a potential stock out value over there of nearly 160,000 and 113 items. And again, there are the top 5. Can we do something about expediting or replacing, or drawing from another location to get those items in and ensure that we don't create more stockouts in the future? All right, so you can see, as I said, it's purpose-built, it's easy to understand, and it's going to help focus buyers on making really good decisions really quickly. So that's the dashboards. You'll also see on the dashboards over here, we have color-coded blocks next to the items, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. That's the classification, which I'm going to do with you next. So if we go to classifications, the idea behind classification is really to classify items and understand where to focus your investment. So we're going to do an ABC, which is based on value contribution, where A is the top value contributors. 80% of my value is coming out of the A, let's say 16% in B, and the last 4% in C. And then high, medium, low based on velocity sales. So my fastest movers, 80% of my movement is coming out of those 320 items over there. 16% in medium, let's say, and last 4% in low. And then what we do is we intersect those in this 9-block matrix. So what that will do, if you can see ABC coming across from left to right, A is my highest value items, and then high, medium, low, fastest moving items coming down from top to bottom in my high. And where those two intersect over there in green, those are the bread and butter items of the business. That's what's driving the business, of which these 135 are the most critical. If we can focus investment on these areas over here, we're going to be running a much more successful business. Now, if we look at the product count, you can see this is the 80-20 rule, the Pareto. Very few items in those areas over there that are contributing most to the business, and a lot of items sitting over here in the red, which is sort of the red zone, the last 4% of value contribution, the last 4% of movement sitting in those items over there. And this is likely in all business, but this is really where we would look at rationalizing out of the product range in these 2,226 items. And also we wouldn't be investing a lot here, because if we stock out of a C low item, it's only 4%. If we stock out of one of these items, that's 80% of our business, right? So we want to be able to invest in these areas over here. And the way that we do that is that we allow the customer to set policies against these blocks. And if an item moves out of this 135 to the 123, or maybe even to this block over here, which is high value, slow moving, like capital items, we will change the way that we purchase that item, or what the target fill rates are for those blocks. So that was the high value, slow movers. Down here, we also have low value, fast movers. So those are critical to service. They don't tie up a lot of cash. I can invest quite heavily in these. I'm probably not going to tie up a lot of cash or a lot of warehouse space, and I'm going to get very happy customers out of that. The purples are either moving up or down. Those are the 16%ers or the mid-range. And as I said, the red, those are the slower moving items. We can also put rules in place to filter out items that are moving too slow. So non-stock items, let's say, any items that have only moved once, had one hit in the last 12 months, put them into non-stock. I don't want to really buy those items. I want to buy and sell as I get requests for them. And then obsolete, here we have a rule to say no hits in the last 24 months. I don't want to buy those. I want to try and get rid of those as quickly as possible, and use that cash to invest somewhere else. So we can help classify those items, and then from there, set target fill rates. So the customer will then set target fill rates. We can see very high target fill rates over here in the green, lower target fill rates on the red, or the slower moving items over here, especially those capital items, only 90% over there. Very high target fill rates on these items down here. We always want to have them in stock. And Netstock will automatically invest in those items to ensure that we have higher safety stock and we don't stock out of those items over there. All right, so those are the target fill rates that have been set at the moment. The fill rates, and we can see over there, only 90% over here, 97, 93 over there against a target of 90, so they're quite high over there. And if we want to analyze those items within those blocks as well, we can have a look and see, of those 135, how much is in excess, how much is in surplus. Probably wouldn't be too worried about that because they are fast moving or high contributors. But I'd be very worried about 15 of these 135 potentially stocking out in the future, and extremely worried about the 22 that are already stocked out and causing us a lot of lost sales over there. Nearly 200,000 rands worth of lost sales just out of those 22 items. I could drill down and see what those 22 items are. Again, everything is purpose built to get you to the problem areas as quickly as possible, so that you can action these and try and mitigate the risk against those lost sales. Okay, so that's the classification. We're automatically going to classify your items as we pull them out of the Sage ERP and put them into that matrix, and then assist you in setting policies for those that will apply to those items wherever they are in that block. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to go into an item. So let's just see on the dashboard. And just to give you an idea of how we would work on an item. There's a lot of information here. Don't worry too much about this, but you can see on the details over here, we're going to pull information from Sage ERP, things like your cost and selling price, weight, stock on hand units, all of that information we're going to be pulling from the ERP. We're automatically going to classify. This is one of those items, most important items in my business, one of those 135. And the supplier that we're purchasing from, also pulling that from the ERP, and all the purchase order history from the supplier, so that we can calculate the risk of the supplier supplying to you. You don't have to try and figure that out yourself. Any groupings that are in the Sage ERP we'll bring in here, so that you can filter any of your lists by any of the groupings. We don't have any limits, so you can bring in brands, you can bring in categories, you can bring anything from your ERP, and we can add them here as groupings. On the right-hand side of here, you can see the demand. So we will bring in sales history of this item, and you can see the sales history over there. We've automatically created a forecast for it, and you can see that it is a seasonal forecast. There's no trend with seasonality, so it's picked up some seasonality, and it's created a 12-month forecast automatically without your intervention required. And we will pick up, as I said, things like trends or seasonality and that type of stuff in the sales history. So no need to try and figure that out or be stuck with a moving average forecast. But we'll also track the accuracy of that forecast, so we don't think that we know everything about forecasting, and we always want to track the forecast variances and make sure that we adjust safety stock to overcome the risks in that. So in other words, if we are over forecasting, we drop safety stock. If we're under forecasting, we increase safety stock in our risk calculations or safety stock. The safety stock is a dynamic number, and that's really what I want to get to in this whole thing, is to show you that safety stock is uses a lot of factors in calculating what it should be. First of all, your forecast. So in peak times, you need more stock, more safety stock, more risk. In low times, you obviously need a lot less stock, so that would affect how much safety stock you hold. The target fill rate, so yeah, we have a 98% target fill rate. We want to invest a lot more in this item because it's one of my most important items. More safety stock required over there. The replenishment cycle, how often you purchase. If you buy for 30 days worth of stock, that would also affect the safety stock. The lead time, obviously long lead times, more risk. And then we calculate, as I said, forecast risk, which we've added 1 day in here, which is basically saying we're under forecasting a little bit and we're worried that we might stock out. So we're adding a bit of safety stock over there for the forecast risk. And then supply risk, where we look at your supplier, and I can go down here and show you what that looks like. If we look at the supplier performance, as I said, we're looking at your historical purchase orders, and we are analyzing that and saying that we have some early deliveries, we have some late deliveries, we had in full deliveries, we had one short supply. What is the performance of the supplier on supplying this item to you? The risk over there is 10%. We have an offset of 11 days because the average lead time that we've calculated through those purchase orders of 56 days, and the planned lead time that you have in the ERP is 45 days. So there's an 11-day risk over there. We're adding 11 days in. We're basically stretching the lead time as those lead times stretch, and we can also reduce the lead time if the lead time speeds up again from there. So we dynamically change the risk calculations or the safety stock to overcome the risk in the supply as well as in the forecast. Okay, so we've taken all these factors into consideration. We've calculated the safety stock for this item in this location is 24 days worth of stock. Now we do this in days, and then we will calculate that back into units based on the forecast sales in that specific time, because again, in peak season, 24 days worth of stock is a lot more than it will be in low season, right? So we start off in days, and we can see over here when we calculate your optimal stock levels, your policy, your min-max levels, we have lead time plus safety stock to get to my reorder point. So at 69 days, I want to reorder. I'm going to buy 30 days worth because that's my replenishment cycle. So my order up to a maximum is 99 days. And if we calculate that back, that's 733 units, 491 available. Reorder point is 1,224. So when we get to that point over there, we're going to place an order to get us back to that maximum over there of 1,799. Okay, so those are my optimal stock levels that are calculated for this specific item. We then compare them to the inventory position that we're pulling out of your ERP. So we can see that you have 2,154 items in stock. There's no overdue demand, so these are like customer orders. In this case, there is some allocated stock, so it might be stock that's been allocated for repairs or something like that, to get to an available stock level. So if there are any sales orders, we would be reducing that to get to what the available stock level is if we take that into consideration. In this case, it's 1,825. So we know that's the available stock, but we do have some stock on order. There's 566 already on its way from the supplier. Remember, we're analyzing your purchase orders. So there we have your purchase orders. There's 2 purchase orders over there coming in, and that's going to add up to 566. So your net stock position at the moment is 2391. Okay, when those arrive, that'll be your position. Now, if that position is lower than my reorder point, which I have over there, there would be an order over here, a recommended order to get us back to that order up to. At the moment, our net stock position is good. We don't need to order, and in fact, those orders are surplus. Okay, we don't actually need those orders. We could be fine without those orders, and we could perhaps try and get hold of the supplier and see if we can cancel those orders or move the delivery date out a little bit. Okay, so that's how we would do these calculations. Obviously, if the stock was too low, you might be at a stock out position or a potential stock out position. We would be able to flag that over there. All right. So yeah, as I said, this is a lot of information, but really what I wanted to show you was that there's a dynamic safety stock level. So we're constantly moving your safety stock up based on all of these factors that we calculate automatically in the background. You don't need to have any of this stuff imported or try and calculate any of the stuff in a spreadsheet. We will just give you the results. And basically what we're doing is we're projecting into the future, 12 months into the future, not only where we are today, where we will be, there's those 2 orders when they come in, and where that'll put us. There we go, surplus over there, a lead time from today. But we also have recommended orders that we're going to place in the future for the next 12 months. So we have a forward order plan for the next 12 months, when we're going to order, how much we're going to order, and when we expect it to arrive. And if anything goes wrong with that, obviously we will flag you as we're going along. And this is really the power of Sage Inventory Advisor on Netstock, is being able to plan 12 months ahead, and help you with this planning 12 months ahead. Be proactive in your planning rather than being reactive in the planning, like we are in our reports and our spreadsheets. Okay, so let's say there was an order that needed to be placed over there. In the side panel, you'll see that there's an orders. I'm just going to go and pick one that I know has all the information we require. And this is the order screen. So if any of these items go through the reorder point, they're automatically put onto orders by supplier. And this is what I was saying about the orders per supplier. Trying to figure this out on a spreadsheet takes some of our customers before they started using Netstock. Some of them up to a week, perhaps 2 weeks, to work through all the information to be able to make a decision. Unfortunately, by that time, things have changed in the supply chain, and they might be making the wrong decision. With Netstock, straight away, any of the items that have gone through their reorder point are on the supplier's order screen over here. So we can see over there, in this case, there's manufacturing and there's a production line, but the suppliers over there listed one by one. We have unsatisfied sales orders against the supplier. We can even rank them by urgency. So we can see this is the most urgent order. It's got the most potential stockouts and stockouts against the supplier with no orders against them. We can see outstanding purchase orders that are inbound. And then over here on the right, we can see the number of products that have gone through the reorder point and need to be ordered. The quantity, the volume. You can have a purchase currency if it's a different purchase currency over there. And also volume and weight if you need to optimize for container loads or truck loads. We're able to help calculate that as well. As long as you have those volumes and weights in your Sage ERP, we can help you optimize. For a lot of businesses, perhaps for manufacturing, you want to look ahead 7 days. You can see there's a look forward days over here. That will look ahead and see if there are any other items that might hit their reorder point in the next 7 days. And you can see I've gone from 97 to 102. In the case of the supplier, perhaps there is like a Chinese New Year or a shutdown of the suppliers over a period of time, let's say 60 days. It can look ahead 60 days. You can see it's gone from 2 to 3. So it's seen that there's another item that we predict is going to hit. And that's why that projection into the future is so important. That's going to hit its reorder point within that 60-day period. Let's put that on this order so that we can make the best decision over that 60-day shutdown. So look forward days also to help the buyers there make better decisions. All right, I'm going to go into one of these items over here. Now, one of these suppliers, I'm just going to use a production line as an example. We say create order. It'll then bring up those 97 items that I was talking about one by one over there with all the information about that item, units of measure. If there's a minimum order quantity or a multiple, we will round to that minimum order quantity or multiple as well. You can see the recommendation over there that can be changed and the last cost that we pulled from the ERP. Those two can be changed if required. We can see value, volume, and weight. We can see the status of the item. These are potential stockouts. That one's okay. We can change the lead time if required. We can see policies. We can see inbound orders, outbound orders. All of that information is here at a click of a button. And then also the forecast. If we want to go through that, we can have a look at that information as well. If your forecasting and your information coming into the system is pretty accurate, you shouldn't need to change these very much. There might be a couple of changes, but this should be 90% correct because we want to get these orders out as quickly as possible, right, without having to intervene with every single one. So here we would have an overview of this order. From there, you could say download. That would then download and upload into your Sage ERP as a purchase requisition that you can then take through your usual authorization process and budgets and all that type of stuff before sending it off to the supplier. But then at least you know that you've got the best possible order that you could have placed as quickly as possible. If there is some containerization or weight optimization that needs to be done, I'll show you how easy that is over here. We've got a selection of what we call top-up items that you can use to help get you to a certain volume or weight or whatever it is. So I'm going to pick top-up items. Our top-up items are items that have gone through their maximum. They haven't hit their reorder point yet. We're going to take them and we're going to push them back up to maximum early, and we're going to use that to fill the container or the truckload or whatever it is. And here we can select, and I'm going to select volume, for example. So let's say we want to do full. We're sitting at nearly 58,000 cubic meters, which is huge. But let's say we wanted to get to, I don't know, 59,000. You can go and pick items out yourself. We could just say solve. It'll automatically pick items to get as close as it can to the volume that you've required. 59,000. There we go. 58,999. That's pretty close. We can then add these to the container, to the order, to containerize without pushing anything into excess. So we haven't gone and bought more of an item than we really need, and we've been able to fill that container and optimize that container load. Again, from there, just say download, and it'll push that optimized order back to your Sage ERP, and then you can go through your authorizations from there. All right, so that's really how we would close the loop, from pulling the information from your Sage ERP, and you saw all the information that we had at the item level, doing all the calculations that we've done, classifying your items, highlighting where there are problem children that need to be taken care of in that Pareto to make you as effective as possible in your planning, and then at the same time putting out recommended orders that can then at a push of a button be pushed back into your ERP to close that loop and send those orders off to your supplier. Okay, so I hope that gives you a pretty good overview of the sort of the flow, basic flow of how we would do this with the information coming out of the Sage ERP. There are a couple of additional things that I wanted to show you as well. Something that's come up quite a lot in the last little while with suppliers, and you saw the supplier analysis that we were doing at an item level. We can also do that at a supplier level. So if you wanted to compare suppliers to see, let me just do this again and make sure I've got the best one here. You can go to the supplier performance module, which would analyze across all of the items that supplier supplies to you, what the reliability is, what the risk is, and also give you some insight into how your interactions with the supplier has gone. So this supplier over here, we can see 831 items. We can see the inventory value and safety stock value. We can see the risk factors over here in the middle. On average, 13-day lead time, very short lead time for this supplier specifically. But there is an offset over there. The supply risk is 20%, so they are quite risky. They're not really getting it on time. And there's an average 4.44 days worth of safety stock that we're holding additional for that risk that we see from the supplier. We can have a look at historical purchase orders. We can have a look at overdue purchase orders with those inbound orders and open orders that are still on their way and when they're going to arrive. And we can also have a look at future purchase orders. Now, this is where things really get interesting. Now, I can have a look at these things in detail over here. I can see those historical orders and how we did over there, what's overdue, so we can have a chat to them about that, what's open, what's inbound, and everything has tables as well, so we can have a look at the calculated amounts over there. But I wanted to just touch on the future purchase orders. So you saw at an item level, we were looking at the purchase orders for that item for the next 12 months. this is an overview of all the items from the supplier that we're planning to purchase from them for the next 12 months. So it's like a supplier forecast on the supplier on what the offtake or the projected offtake is going to be on them for the next 12 months. And that is very powerful if there's a lot of supplier collaboration and discussions around the supplier. You can see over here, we're going to be, first of all, spending a lot more money with them towards the end of the year. So there might be some price negotiations that we can do every year, or discounts negotiated. We can then get into the specific orders and when we're going to place the orders and what they are. But you can even get down, and I'm going to get into the summary over here, get down to, at an item level, the total units month by month for the next 12 months that we forecast we're going to be purchasing from the supplier. And this is really, really powerful. I can put this down into a CSV file and I can send this to the supplier and say, this is our forecast on you for the next 12 months. And again, we can update this on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis or however often to make sure that if anything changes in the calculations and these projected orders change, that they're aware of it and they know what we're going to order from them. So very powerful if when it comes to supplier performance. And then also those projections that I was talking about at an item level, we can do those stretching forward overall for the business so that we can see how the business is going to fare into the future based on the policies and the forecasts and everything that we have in the system right now. So the dashboards that we were looking at in the beginning, we're looking at a benchmark where we came from in the past and how we've tracked along and how much closer we've gotten to our targets where we are today. What the projection module does is it now projects all of that forward 12 months. So we can see over there, that's my starting point over there and what my closing stock is going to be month by month into the future, 12 months into the future. Now I can see that it's actually going to rise quite a bit over there and in this case, probably purchasing more of the right items and waiting for some of the other items to sell off so that we don't have so much of those slow-moving items. But there's going to be a 5% additional reduction in the next 12 months over that period of time. The fill rate is going to increase considerably, another 14% increase in that fill rate as we buy more of those items. You can see the stock turns are going to increase, but again, they're going to slow down as we buy all of that inbound stock over there, and then as that stock starts reducing, the stock turns will also increase over there. So it's a good projection of where the business is going to make sure that it's headed the way that you want to. If you're not able to afford, perhaps as far as your recommended orders are concerned, to be spending this amount of money on a monthly basis, we have projected purchase orders into the future, so we can use that for cash flow calculations. Perhaps you want to tone down, go from 85 to maybe 90 in the next 12 months. That'll also reduce the stock holding or reduce the future purchase orders we require to get there with a reduced target fill rate for the next 6 months or 12 months. And those can be adjusted as we're going along. There we have the future demand. Does that make sense as far as your business is concerned? Is that sort of where you see the market going, or is there going to be much more of an uptick in that? Perhaps we need to go and adjust forecasts to ensure that those forecasts make a bit more sense as well. And we can manually override a lot of these forecasts as well if required. It's not just all done automatically because we don't understand the markets, we don't understand your product specifically. We're using historical data to create these forecasts through our forecasting engine. And then receipts, we can see when we're going to receipt for firm orders that have already been placed, as well as projected orders that we're going to ask you to place, and when we're going to receive that over the next 12 months. Again, you can get into details, you can get into table format, you can export this into Excel, you can also filter by location, and a whole bunch of other things, locations, regions, suppliers, groupings, classifications, however you want to filter, you can go in and filter these things as well. So very, very powerful for future planning and insight into where the business is going based on the policies that you have set for yourself. Okay. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of other things that I can show you as well. I thought I'd just touch on that. But there is something that I just wanted to show you, which is our latest release. Remember, we are always releasing and updating the software as we go along. I wanted to touch on the learning library. I did speak about that before. The learning library is built into the application. There are blogs, there are articles, there's a help center, everything to help customers get better and better at planning. There is an online chat in the application. There will be consultants online. If you wanted to ask a question, you can ask a question, start typing over there, and it'll go through to one of our consultants. They'll be able to log onto your screen and help you. But if you search anything over here, you can see there are articles that will explain almost anything to you. If you start typing in over there, it'll bring up help articles, your historical messages, any new news that we have about things that have been added to the software will be added here as well. We try and stay in touch with our customers through the application as much as possible. Okay, so that's the learning library that I wanted to show you. And then the latest feature that's just come out, you can see over there, it's got a little red dot next to it. This is our initial move into AI, and it is called the Opportunities Engine. And what this does is it takes, it's sort of like a consultant involved in your data. So what it'll do is, because we have these this information that we've gained, or the calculations that we've made gained from your data coming out of your application, this opportunity engine is able to make suggestions based on what it sees in the data for you to action. So you know, as you saw on the dashboard over there, there were a whole bunch of things over there that you might need to do, but you need to know how to action it. What this actually does, and you can do this by certain locations or regions or however you want to do that, is ask for advice on opportunities that we see in the data. If we click on show me over there, we can see that the AI model will come up and bring up, let's say, an item over here. And again, we're looking at items that have big impact on your business, right? We predicted this product over here in the central store is on track to run out on the 29th of August. Okay, we calculate that you will lose 1.5 million. So you can see it's quite a big amount, which equates to 106,000 units over there. Okay, I found that you already placed a purchase order for 311,000. Okay, so we've analyzed the information. We see that there is a purchase order, but it's not enough. Okay, well, they will not arrive on time. Okay, try to bring forward this delivery date of the order. So it's giving you advice. So we're really getting into the data and actually giving you advice on what you can do with this item, and not just, okay, this item is going to potentially stock out in the future, but give you some advice on what to do. It might tell you that there is you know, excess of this item in another location, and maybe you can move it from that location to this location rather than spend sending an order on the supplier or expediting with the supplier. Whatever the advice is, they'll give that to you, and you can just click on this and it'll show you more and more opportunities. There's 11 of them that they've picked up, critical ones they've picked up, that we can share with you. The other nice thing about this is that you can decide whether this is useful for you or not, or whether you want to mute a specific location. Based on the user that is using it, it will then learn what kind of things this user is more interested in and produce more of those type of suggestions for this user. So yeah, this is a really, really powerful. This makes your planning a whole lot better, and brings up opportunities within the business where you can be very effective and make the planners a whole lot more successful in the business as well. So yeah, we're very excited about this. This is the latest release. It's available in Sage Imagery Advisor already. We have released it to most of our customers. But yeah, if you become a customer of ours, that'll be available to you as well. And we are going to work on this with the advancements in AI. There are so many opportunities, places that we can add AI to the system, and we are going to be. We're spending a lot on R&D in this area to help enhance the software and help customers be more successful. All right, so that's the last thing I want to show you. I was saying to Ali early on, I can do this for hours. You know, I'm so excited about the software and what we're able to do and what we're going to be able to do in the future as well. But I think we're close on that 45 minutes, so I'm going to get out of the application and just leave you with this over here. And really, our focus is going to be on AI in the future. And as I said, because of the advancements, there's so much that we can do and so much that we will be bringing into the application in the future to make sure that you can get better at your planning. All right, so before we go to questions, I know Ali wanted to just put that poll up for you guys. So
Yeah, great. So we're just going to run a quick poll. So if everybody could take a second to answer it, that would be super helpful. Would you be interested in a personalized demo of Sage Inventory Advisor for your organization? Yes, over the next month. Yes, over the next 1 to 3 months. Maybe, but need more information first, or not at this time. So I will leave the poll open for a few more seconds so everybody can get their answers in. It'd be greatly appreciated. All right. I am going to go ahead and close that out. Thank you to everybody that answered. And at the moment, Vaughn, it doesn't look like there are any questions from the audience. So
wow,
were there any? I know you did a good job. Very thorough.
That's fantastic. But yeah, welcome to reach out to your partners, reach out to Sage, and they'll get hold of us if you do have any questions, anything that we can help with. We had to help.
Awesome. Well, that will conclude our webcast for today. Vaughn, thank you so much for walking us through the presentation and demonstration. And to everybody else, thank you so much for joining and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Bye.